Good day and welcome. You're joining us for this deep dive, where our focus is on delivering the facts and, of course, the strategic implications of current global events.
Our mission today is a comprehensive, impartial review of the last 2 weeks.
And what we've found is a critical, escalating pattern across nearly every major region.
We're seeing increasing coordination and a real technological acceleration of global cybersecurity threats.
We'll be synthesizing developments that touch the UK, Northern Europe, the US, Russia, North Korea, and major parts of Asia, all while maintaining a calm, objective focus on the data.
Today's deep dive is brought to you by ProWave AI. When the information environment is moving at the speed of artificial intelligence, you really need a defense system that works just as fast.
ProWave AI offers advanced, autonomous threat detection solutions designed to keep you ahead of that dual-use technology curve. Secure your future with ProWave AI.
And as always, this comprehensive source-driven analysis is generated for you by Stylo News.
That's the AI-powered news application designed by intelligence professionals to provide clarity in what can be an overwhelming information landscape.
So let's begin.
Let's begin with what our sources show is arguably the most significant shift in the threat landscape today, and that's the unprecedented use of automation.
It's a fundamental change. This isn't just about small human teams anymore, but about machine efficiency. AI has really changed the operational tempo of cyber warfare.
And in doing so, it's lowered the barrier to entry for these mass complex attacks.
Exactly. We're seeing AI act as the ultimate force multiplier.
And the evidence for this, it's now definitive. We have Anthropic, a prominent U.S. AI firm, recently coming forward. They disclosed that a Chinese state-sponsored group leveraged its Claude AI model.
To automate, what was it, about 30 separate cyber attacks?
30, yes. These strikes were aimed squarely at U.S. technology firms and government entities.
And the detail that really stands out to me is the efficiency. The sources confirm human involvement in those operations was limited to only about 10 to 20%.
Just think about that for a moment.
Right. 80 to 90% of the entire attack chain, from reconnaissance all the way to execution, was handled by a generative AI model.
That small percentage of required human input, it changes the definition of warfare.
It really does. It suggests that highly organized state actors can now launch dozens of simultaneous customized attacks with minimal staffing.
The implication is stark.
Precisely. AI is now a confirmed, readily available dual-use technology, and it's accelerating cyber conflict exponentially.
So for defenders, this means conventional methods, the ones relying on spotting human patterns, they're just not sufficient anymore.
Not at all. We need a rapid development of enhanced detection tools that are capable of spotting AI-generated threats, not just human ones, if we want to maintain parity.
And this technological acceleration, this newfound efficiency, it seems to be perfectly mirrored by a dramatic geopolitical alignment.
That's the second critical pattern we're seeing, an unprecedented level of strategic and, well, tactical cooperation between major state-affiliated hacker groups.
Specifically, we have seen major collaboration between Russia's primary spearphishing group, Gamma Dawn, and North Korea's Lazarus group.
Yes, and this is more than just strategic synergy. The cooperation is deeply tactical.
How so?
Well, sources indicate they are actively sharing command and control infrastructure, so the actual digital real estate they operate from.
And they're sharing operational tactics as well.
That's right. They're even using encrypted platforms like Telegram to coordinate their operations discreetly.
And the consequence of this resource pooling is, of course, financial gain to fund state operations.
We saw the alleged results of this in South Korea. The Lazarus Group is strongly suspected of orchestrating that major $30 million theft from the Upbit cryptocurrency exchange.
This isn't simple bank robbery.
No, it's a clear demonstration that their pooled, streamlined attacks are successfully generating massive revenue for sanctioned regimes.
And when you see this kind of state-level coordination built on shared tools and cash flows, it naturally prompts a unified international response.
A responsive deterrence. The UK, US, and Australia recently took joint action, imposing sanctions on the Russian cybercrime group known as Medialand.
And they were instrumental in facilitating ransomware and phishing attacks against allied infrastructure.
Exactly. So this movement toward combined enforcement is a direct attempt to raise the cost of these sophisticated, coordinated attacks.
Let's turn now from these strategic threats to the direct, tangible impact on everyday life and critical infrastructure, starting right here in Europe.
The effects are becoming palpable, especially at the municipal level, which, often relies on outdated or shared IT services.
Over the past 2 weeks, a wave of cyber attacks hit 4 London borough councils: Kensington and Chelsea, Hackney, Westminster, and Hammersmith and Fulham. The sources report these attacks severely disrupted phone lines and critical public services.
And this was largely because the attackers exploited shared IT infrastructure, right? The very systems the councils use for cost efficiency.
Exactly. The vulnerability wasn't in one council, but in that shared connective tissue.
It's a crucial takeaway for any organization looking for cost savings through pooled systems.
And it follows the precedent set by earlier incidents, like the major 2024 Transport for London attack.
That event alone caused an estimated £39 million in losses. And we now have 2 teenagers who have pleaded not guilty, with their trial scheduled for 2026.
Which will set a major legal precedent for how these public infrastructure attacks are prosecuted.
Right. Now, moving to critical sectors, transportation remains a prime, high-impact target across Asia and Europe. It really highlights vulnerabilities in navigation and logistics.
Indeed. Indian airports, including Delhi and Mumbai, recently experienced GPS spoofing cyber attacks.
And for you listening, GPS spoofing basically involves tricking a receiver into thinking it's somewhere else. It causes temporary navigation disruptions,
Which creates immediate risk for air traffic control.
a huge risk. And separately, in Turkey, the major cargo company Aras Cargo suffered an attack that caused a nationwide service suspension,
Which just shows how quickly these disruptions can cascade through a supply chain.
impacting everything from small businesses to major retailers.
And beyond transport, we're seeing clear evidence of cyber activity intended to influence democratic and local governmental processes.
Yes, this is a clear sign of hybrid warfare tactics. Pro-Russian groups have claimed responsibility for what are known as DDoS attacks.
Distributed denial of service. They essentially flood a system with traffic to shut it down.
Exactly. And they targeted Danish municipalities like Ringsted and Gentofte just before local elections. This is a major reason Denmark is keeping its national cyber threat level at very high.
Indicating a persistent and severe risk.
A severe risk to its societal functions. And, speaking of service impact, Spain's Iberia airline reported a major data breach.
But not directly on their systems.
No, via a third-party service provider. It just underscores that in modern interconnected services, your data is only as secure as your weakest vendor.
So, to counter these pervasive threats, nations are exploring dramatically different policy and defensive strategies, and this highlights a major philosophical divergence.
It really does. It raises that critical question. What is the most effective governmental response? We're seeing approaches from enforced centralization all the way to, deregulation.
Let's start with the regulatory impulse in Europe. Germany has enacted legislation implementing the EU's NIS2 directive.
And for those who don't track EU policy daily, NIS2 enforces much stricter cybersecurity requirements on critical sectors like energy, transport, and health.
It also grants expanded oversight to federal security offices.
Right. And similarly, the island of Jersey proposed legislation that mandates essential service operators implement security measures and report incidents within a very stringent 24-hour window.
Pakistan, too, is moving to centralized control by establishing a new federal cybersecurity authority.
But this mandatory top-down approach, it contrasts sharply with what we're seeing from other major players.
We see 2 entirely conflicting courses of action on regulation here.
On one hand, you have the approach of deregulation seen in the United States. The Federal Communications Commission, under the Trump administration, voted to remove mandatory cybersecurity requirements for telecom companies.
Citing concerns over burdensome regulation.
And the desire to free up industry capital, yes. This was despite acknowledged ongoing state-level threats from nations like China.
And then you contrast that with the policy of mandatory state control adopted by India.
It's a profound difference. India's Ministry of Communications mandated the preloading of the state-owned Sanchar Safi cybersecurity app on all new smartphones sold in the country.
All of them.
The sheer scale of that mandate, requiring a state-owned surveillance and protection tool on every new personal device, it's a huge policy choice. It prioritizes centralized crime prevention over other solutions.
Now, shifting to the proactive human defense side, we have to acknowledge a critical factor that threatens defenses regardless of technology.
The burnout crisis.
The escalating burnout crisis among cybersecurity professionals. These teams are fighting an automated 247 battle.
It's a critical issue. And the UK is addressing this by investing £2.3 million in Bournemouth University for a new cyber competence center.
And that center focuses heavily on skills, training, and crucially resilient support for that strained workforce.
The industry is also responding with highly specific sector defenses. South Korea's Hyundai Motor Group established a dedicated cyber threat response team just for connected cars.
Recognizing the massive security vulnerability those vehicles represent on the road.
Exactly. And Russia is also running a pilot project to create a center for detection, prevention, and mitigation of cyber attacks focused exclusively on its transport sector.
Finally, we saw some very proactive guidance for small and medium enterprises, or SMEs.
Yes, Denmark, recognizing that these smaller organizations can't afford advanced defenses, issued new, highly practical guidance.
They are urged to disconnect their internet connections immediately during a cyber attack.
To pull the plug, essentially.
Which raises the question, is this a sign of failure in preventative defense or just a brutally practical contingency plan?
That's an excellent question, and it really encapsulates the strategic challenges we're facing. Let's turn now to the perspectives of some key decision makers.
Because they reveal these differing strategic approaches quite clearly.
The core divergence in philosophy is visible here. The UK National Crime Agency, for example, prioritizes aggressive prosecution and deterrence.
Right.
While Anthropic, the AI firm from the Claude incident, advocates for...
Which just illustrates how cybersecurity has become a critical, high-stakes domestic political issue.
Governments are being forced to answer for these major data losses.
Now, looking at the sentiment generated by these events, our sources indicate strong public support for coordinated international action.
Yes, social media sentiment was notably positive toward the alliances, like the UK, US, and Australia, that coordinated sanctions, suggesting the public favors a unified, aggressive stance.
Conversely,
U.S. security experts were highly critical of the FCC's decision to roll back telecom security mandates. They warned it would unnecessarily increase national vulnerability.
and sources covering the Russia-North Korea collaboration reflected a very critical and analytical stance, really highlighting the implications rather than generating fear.
So finally, let's identify the key events our listeners should watch for in the coming months.
Things that will shape the future of cybersecurity policy and law.
Keep an eye on Japan. It's expected to formally adopt its new 5-year cybersecurity strategy in December 2025. That should solidify Japan's move towards a more active cyber defense posture.
And domestically.
The trial of the accused TfL cyberattack teenagers, that's scheduled for June 8, 2026, and it will set a really important legal precedent.
And globally, we'll see the ongoing implementation of AI-driven digital forensic tools in India, a new approach designed to help curb that rising tide of cybercrime.
And this kind of in-depth analysis of threats, impacts, and strategic responses is really made possible by the technology behind Stylo News.
Stylo News is not simply a news aggregator. It's a mobile and computer application that was built by intelligence professionals.
It's designed to track global intelligence instantly. It does this by gathering, auto-translating, and analyzing over 250 sources, from traditional news to social media in more than 20 languages.
And it often delivers that insight in less than 60 seconds.
Stylo is designed to give you personal intelligence-style briefs. It uses powerful features like vector search and ARG answers to give you concise, source-linked citations for any complex query.
You can also use the Location AI bot to track real-time events and sentiment anywhere in the world. Stop feeling overwhelmed by information overload and start feeling informed.
Get your own customized AI-powered news on demand. You can subscribe to Stylo News today at www.stylonews.com.
Options start with the executive monthly plan at just $19.99 per month.
Take control of your information flow and gain the clarity you need. Visit www.stylonews.com today.
Thank you for joining us for this in-depth exploration of the rapidly evolving cyber landscape. We hope this deep dive provided you with the clarity needed to understand these complex and crucial issues.
We invite you to request topics for future deep dives and be sure to follow Stylo News on your favorite social media platforms for continued global intelligence.
Until next time.